What's going on, MLW faithful? It's your host, your boy, George Mackay, and
it's Uncle Bobby B, baby.
And we're back with another MLW Rewind. This is going to air roughly around 8:30 tonight, and we just got finished watching War Chamber. We've been waiting for this. This has been a steady build for the last couple of weeks, finding members of teams, announcing additions to teams, all this kind of stuff. And finally, the time has arrived. The time for talking is proverbially over. And now we got to find out how this whole story, this 2+ year long storyline, ends. And I got to say, the ending was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I was a little underwhelmed. I think the ending of the match itself was probably overshadowed by the events that occurred immediately following the match.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about when I say underwhelming, is that the way it ended, it felt so quick for such a big build that it was just kind of, you know, a little bit disappointing, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
I guess I misunderstood the premise in the sense I thought it was kind of an elimination style.
As did I. So I think we both went into this.
Yeah, so when I saw Kuro Kwan's kind of surrender, I like that too. You had by pinfall submission or surrender.
Yeah, you had to quit.
The torture rack, which just random great throwbacks through the whole match from Hammer, the warrior shake, the torture rack. I love how he works in those guys who clearly inspired him. But anyways, I'm like, oh, is like the whole match done? Because I see everybody celebrating, and I'm like, are you guys not going to kick the shit out of everyone else? Or I was like, oh, okay, so all right. I'm like, all right, I can deal with that. And then everything happened after, and I was like, oh, okay, now everything makes a little bit more sense. It was we kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, we knew it was coming.
We kind of saw it coming.
I'll start it off, the rundown of everything. We started off with a little bit of a contra promo, I guess a recap, if you will, of the events leading up to War Chamber, plus a recap with Hammer winning over Fatu, again, leading up to War Chamber. And then our favorite CD's nuts. He cuts a promo at the start of the show saying that tonight, the culmination comes to a close. It's over. It's finished. Contra versus MLW ends tonight. He didn't say Contra versus Hammer or Team Hammer. He said MLW, because it really has been Contra versus MLW, with Hammer kind of leading the pushback, if you will, on Contra. So, and also he announces that they officially, which we knew from the Court Bauer press conference, that they were planning to expand into Mexico, into Latin America.
Aggressive expansion.
Yes, he announces officially that MLW is expanding after his meeting with Court Bauer. So that is now official. He basically called it an underground fight club with his luchadors, his best of the best luchadors, against the best that MLW has to offer.
Well, and yeah, against the best of Mexico too. Big arenas, bigger crowds, more superstars. I'm looking so forward to this because MLW's roster is just so well put together that they have so many guys that can go to Mexico and have amazing luchador matches, and they have guys that can go there and do stuff a little differently too. So this is good news for everybody, especially if you're living in Mexico.
Yeah, and logistically speaking, where they're going to end in December is in Dallas, which is not too far from the Mexican border. So right into the new year, I'm assuming a little bit of a Christmas break, if you will, proverbially, a couple of days off to enjoy time with the family, and then in the new year, we're going to get this aggressive expansion, as you will. Right before we got to the War Chamber match, which was the only match tonight, which was the only one anyone really cared about. If there was any other matches, it would have not been, people would have been like, let's just get through this to get to the action that we need to see. But we did get a promo from 5150 on Los Parks. Homicide is back. Homicide was insulted. 5150 didn't appreciate that. They took Los Parks Mac. They burned that shit, quote unquote, from Danny Rivera. They burned that shit, and they whooped their ass. Is that too street if I say it like that?
No, like I feel when I watch a 5150 promo, I feel like
I want to just give them my shoes because I'd be afraid they're gonna rob me.
Yeah, like
anyways.
I feel like if I was in a rough area or something, and like I turned down the wrong alley, and like these guys would just be in the alley like talking like that to me, and I'd be like, oh shit.
Here's my wallet. Here's my car keys.
Not even just like, can I get you anything? I'm just gonna go walk this way. But yeah, like they're intimidating cats, and you know we spoke to Slice Boogie and Dane Limelight and great guys, but fuck, do I not want to be in the opposite side of a ring from them?
No way, no way. And we also know, I mean, spoiler, we know that they are the new MLW Tag Team Champions.
Yeah,
we're gonna get that in the Thanksgiving episode. That's when that match has been signed for. So it'll be good. Plus the ladder match for the vacant open national open weight championship. That's going to be good. We know some of the opponents, some of the members of that. We got Genshi up in there. We got our boy Alex Kane in there. Got our boy Myron Reed in there.
Alex Shelley's
in there. And we got a wild card. We don't know who the wild card is. You know, the graphic just looks like your standard graphic, if you will, of a WWE game right before you create your character. It's just kind of a shell of a man. It's an NPC graphic. It's an NPC graphic. So we're not really sure who this person is. Did you want to throw out like a possible prediction?
Couldn't even speculate. I couldn't even speculate. I don't know. I mean,
I want to say it's going to be Davey Richards.
I mean,
but he's also in the Opera Cup final. He's also in the Opera Cup tournament. So maybe it's not Davey Richards. I want to say it's either going to be somebody returning or somebody new, a new addition to the roster.
That's the thing. The fact that there's been so many releases as of late. It could be.
Yeah.
We could be expecting somebody that's coming from outside. It could be somebody already within MLW. That's just the wild card. It could be somebody returning, excuse me. So we don't know. And that's the great thing about a wild card. It's going to keep everybody guessing. It's going to keep all the combatants guessing.
Well, I want to say there was always a perfect storm that we always talked about Richard. We asked Richard this point blank if there ever was an opportunity to go at one of those major championships, would he? And now that that title's vacant and he doesn't have to worry about running into Hammer, why not make Richard Holiday the wild card? I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility.
Why not?
Why not? All right, should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right, so before the match starts, we get a Kruger promo. He says, and this is the one line of dialogue that we actually could hear through the auto-tune, through the T-Pain auto-tune, if you will. He says that he's leading his soldiers into battle. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Joseph Samael was the leader of Contra. Now, he might be the man behind the leaders, but logically speaking, the person I would consider to be the leader of Contra after Joseph would be Jacob Fatu.
Well, you know, it's complicated. Hierarchy can be very complicated. So it might have been just a slip of the tongue. It might have been some foreshadowing.
He said it a few times the last couple of promos, even the promo from last week, the episode that I went back and watched after we recorded. He said the same thing, and it was the only line of dialogue that you really could pick up on, was that he was going to lead the soldiers and destroy Hammer. Now, he also did say one pretty cool line that they broke his ankle.
Yeah, come on. Kayfabe, okay, but he rolled his fucking ankle, okay? Don't insult our intelligence as wrestling fans. He didn't break his ankle. Hammer rolled his own fucking ankle. We saw it.
Okay.
Don't.
But in terms of the next line, it does make sense. He broke his ankle. Now he's going to break his spirit.
Okay.
That I mean, you have to break something to get to the point to break something else.
I would have said like, you tore your own ligament. Now I'm going to tear you a new asshole, or something to that effect.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't know if he would go necessarily tear your own asshole.
I have sustained the exact same injury that Hammer did. It's a torn ligament. It's incredibly fucking painful. So I don't know. He didn't break his ankle.
Okay.
You can break his spirit if you want. You can try. I mean, Hammer's a pretty spirited guy.
And one other thing, right before the match started, we got to see another graphic of Gnarls Gavin.
Yeah, I almost want to say Gnarls Barkley, but it's Gnarls Gavin.
Gnarls Gavin or Gavin, something along the lines of that. And he's coming next week. And it's just a like rusted out gas tank, like propane tank, one of those big propane tank, like an industrial propane tank in the middle of a field. And the graphic looks like it's CGI'd onto it. They didn't even spray paint it on.
And I'll be honest, I consider myself pretty plugged into the indie scene. I have no fucking idea who Gnarls Gavin or Garvin is.
Maybe they changed. Maybe it's somebody that his name was changed.
Possibly, but it could be just somebody I don't know because I'm not as knowledgeable as I think I am. But anyway, it's a new addition to the MLW roster, so looking forward to see what this cat can do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the way the War Chamber started was a coin toss was done before the teams came out, and whoever got the coin toss first came out first, and then that other team gained the advantage of having the freshest man to come out at the end. Contra won the coin toss, I guess, or lost the coin toss, if you will. So they get to enter first. And the first person out, I was shocked. I was surprised. It was Jacob Fatu. I really thought they were going to send a Sentai Death Squad member out. Rob did call it. I did not think they were going to save the crown jewel. I thought they were going to save the crown jewel for the end. not bring him out at first, but he came out at first and he was ready. And then the big reveal. Team Hammer's fifth member. We've been waiting. We've been wondering. We knew it had some connection with Lucha Underground. We knew it had a connection with CD. And sure enough, CD came out with his brother. If you remember anything from Lucha Underground, he came out with his brother and the key. And you know what? Lo and behold, he whips off the mask. It's Jeff Cobb.
It's Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb is in the building looking great. Fantastic shape. The no neck was still strong. And it was great to bring out the big dog from Contra. And then the second big dog, because Hammer's the biggest dog of Team Hammer, I would have to say. But the second biggest dog in Jeff Cobb. And these two did not hold back.
It was a hoss fight.
They literally went slug for slug in the beginning and then shoulder tackle for shoulder tackle, which was a no sell. Like both were just hitting each other and nobody was moving until finally Fatu did get the advantage. Fatu got the advantage. And, you know, he did a pretty good job of keeping Cobb contained for the most part. At one point, even carried him around, or Cobb, sorry, carried Fatu around like a rag doll. Literally corner to corner and just threw him into one of the turnbuckles.
Cobb is he's a beast. I remember when he first came onto the scene, and like you look at him now and how much more muscle he's put on.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Like we always talk about like, oh, Jacob Fatu's a beast, and he is, but this was just like two beasts. And they were beating the shit out of each other, throwing each other around. It was a great way to start the War Chamber. I thought it was. I thought it was two bulls. It locked in a cage. There's no better way to kick it off because it's going to get the crowd ready. And this crowd was rowdy. This crowd was into it. They were hyped. Yes, and this was the first two guys in the ring. So these two guys are going to get 4 to 5 minutes alone with each other in the ring. So they're setting the tone for the whole match. And they set a tone all right.
They absolutely did. And to the point where at one point there was even a no sell, a big chop across the chest from Fatu to Cobb. Cobb no sold that shit. And he went right back to hitting Fatu in the face. So then we get the, warning, 10-second warning. The next person's coming out. It's obviously going to be Team Contra. And it is a very jacked up Sentai Death Squad member, almost bigger than Mads Kruger, I would have to say.
I want to know who that is. That motherfucker was
beast of a man. So he comes out, and right away the advantage is to Contra. He's all over Cobb, gives Fatu some time to recover. Fatu is all over Cobb. Cobb, held his own as much as he possibly could. And then we get the next member of Team Hammer, which is the legend. The Puerto Rican legend, the Puerto Rican Papi, the Puerto Rican godfather, if you will, Savio Vega. And he comes out with the great equalizer. His favorite weapon of choice, a kendo stick. And he's whooping everybody. He's hitting everybody left, right, and center. Obviously not Cobb because that's on his team, but he's hitting everybody left, right, and center. And Savio with a kendo stick is like poetry in motion. That dude can move it around, much like, if you know like anything from the Attitude Era, much like Steve Blackman.
You know what? I gotta say, and I don't mean this as throwing shade at all. It just reminded me watching him with that candlestick, and the way he was just like, bop, bop, bop. It reminded me of like the shit you do when you were a kid playing with like a toy sword, and you'd just be like, bop, bop, bop.
All right, okay, yeah.
Like when you just the way he was manhandling.
You know what I used to do that with? Me and my cousins, we always get those. Remember those long? They still have them, the long rolls of wrapping paper from the dollar store. Yeah, you get those, but you get them with the wrapping paper still on it, like it hasn't been used. Yeah, and it's thick as a motherfucker. Got some weight to it, and you would just be like, bop, 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 bop. Or it's like that scene from 40-Year-Old Virgin when they're hitting each other with the long lights.
Oh, the light tubes.
The light tubes,
dude. New pants, man.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that shit has mercury in it. Don't fuck up people's new pants with light tubes.
Shout out to Paul Rudd.
Yeah, save that shit for the ring. Yeah, shout out to the immortal Paul Rudd.
There you go. So Savio Vega comes out, whoops everybody with the candlestick. And next person we got is another a Contra member, if you will. And it's
Hikaru Kwan.
Thank you for saving me from making a mistake. So Kwan comes out and he goes nuts. He's literally all over the place. He's hitting everybody. Double team by Fatu and Kwan on Cobb, and they're like containing everybody pretty comfortably right now. And it's obviously the distinct advantage for Contra at this time period because it is a 3-on-2. But then we get the great equalizer from Team Hammer, our boy, Mr. AirPods himself,
the dynastic one,
most marketable Richard Holiday. He rolls out looking focused, looking strong. Even had, Rob pointed out, even had his wrist
like a true baby face.
Like a true baby face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Came out. The crowd was not so much in a babyface cheery mood for Richard Holiday. They kind of just did the same reaction they always do. They booed him a little bit.
I mean, it's Philly. The crowd isn't the classiest.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, Let's
I
be
think,
honest.
I think
Richard,
Samael established
Richard
that
is not a face. He's not a face.
Richard is a baby face. He absolutely is.
That was hands down my favorite part of last week's episode, though. That promo at the end was the best.
No. Hammer saying, I'm literally mid-bite as food falls. I think it was a protein bar, like a chunk just fell out of his mouth.
Mid-bite.
The timing couldn't have been better, and I'm so glad they didn't cut that. Like, B-roll.
Absolutely. And EJ was awesome too. Whoa. Slow down, Turbo.
Yeah.
So good. So good. So at this point now, with the advantage being 3-on-3 again, you've got another Sentai Death Squad member comes out next. It's the bigger one. It's a little bit guy more my size.
The wider one, not the bigger
wider
one.
not the taller one, but wider, more like my size. Spare tire. I'll admit it. I know I'm
it's more like I wouldn't say overweight. He's not overweight. He's more
He's
like
a big boy.
More like a Gringo Loco physique.
Gringo Loco,
a little more
butt heavy,
short and stocky.
Yes, butt heavy type physique. So he comes out and he does not make any difference in this match whatsoever. None whatsoever. To the point where there was really even nothing to talk about, because the minute he got in the ring, he promptly was punched in the head and fell down.
But was this when they had the member show up and hang out outside the ring?
No, the member showed up with Kruger, and we'll get to that in a second. But at that, yes, you are jumping ahead. That's okay. We forget. But next up was the judge, EJ Nduka. He comes out and he's all kinds of fired up, man. And when he does, he literally goes after every individual Contra member in the ring. Again, has a special, I guess, move for them. Does a spine buster on one, does a DDT on another, clothesline on another. Like, he's just tearing the house down. So how does Contra counteract that? Well, they bring out their final member, which obviously is Kruger. And he comes out with a Sentai Death Squad member who he positions at the front of the ring to run interference, if you will, for when the last member of Team Hammer comes out, which we now know will be Hammer. Not a surprise. So Kruger's in there. He's dealing with everybody. Everything's happening. Then boom, Queens of the Stone Age hit. Hammer comes out wearing wrestling shorts, not his typical pants, not his, skinny tight jeans. No, he walks out with his belt hanging. He does his trademark leg shake. He whips off his sunglasses. And at that point, the Sentai Death Squad member comes at him with a pipe. Hammer hits him. The pipe falls. Boing, right into Hammer's hand.
No, the other guy caught it when it dropped, and he managed to pick, like, it was bouncing like this, and he just like yoink, grabbed it back up again, and then Hammer knocked him out again.
Hammer knocked him out again, and then the pipe fell.
It looked like he threw like powder into his face when he came out.
Yeah, he did. He kind of had something prepared.
It was very Chong Li Bloodsportish.
Yeah, very, very so much. Yeah, he blinded him for sure, and he dealt very easily with the Sentai Death Squad members that were outside, plus the two Death Squad members that were in the ring. They were actually thrown out of the ring. So there was 3 on the outside, and Hammer dealt with all 3 before he stepped inside. And now the bell rings. Now the ref is inside. Now the match officially starts. And it's literally just Hammer tearing everybody apart, to the point where, like Rob said, he pays homage to the guys who obviously inspired inspiration, which was, he does the trademark rope shake, Ultimate Warrior. He's getting hulked up. He's doing everything. And the interesting part about this now is that chaos is ensued in the ring. Unless you had your head on a swivel, you missed a lot of the action because there was just so much happening. Now, at one point, Fatu and Kruger bumped into each other in the ring, and there was a little bit of an exchange of words, but they seemed to get back on the same page. They tried to do an Irish whip double team into Hammer. He literally elbows Kruger right in the face. There's no stopping him. And it's just all over. Everybody's kind of spilled out over the ring. There's chaos. I can't even talk about the movesets that happen. Long story short, Quan is kind of stumbling around the center. Holiday picks him up, reverse fireman carry style, and he torture racks his shit.
Hammer.
Sorry, Hammer. What did I say? Holiday? Well, Holiday could have done that too. Holiday is, a beast in his own right.
Holiday could have done it. Absolutely.
He didn't want to steal Hammer's thunder.
I also want to say that was unequivocally the most aggressive torture rack I have ever seen. And I watched Lex Luger back in the OG days putting torture racks on people. Lex Luger used to give you like a bounce. Hammer was fucking taking him to the cleaners. Like, I'm surprised Akira Khan can walk.
I'm surprised the ref was able to get the words "I quit" or "Stop it, I surrender" out of his lips to hear it, because I would have been in so much pain. Now, also, too, I do want to talk about the aggressiveness of Richard Holiday, because when he stepped in the ring, he went right after Fatu. He didn't go after anybody else. He went right after Fatu, and he actually did have a decent kind of combo set against Fatu before Fatu power slammed him off the top rope.
Well, people forget too, like, Richard's not a small guy. He's a big boy. Like, Richard's tall and he's built. Like, he can go toe to toe with pretty much anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, as good as Jacob Fatu is, ex-world champion, not dynastic. So
yeah, it's true.
But I want to talk briefly about EJ and Duca. He busted out this move this week. He busted it out last week. It's a spine buster, but it's like he's so tall that he picks you up and your center of gravity becomes so high. He just throws some sideways momentum and like just kind of 180 spins and drops you. So it's a different spine buster than we're used to of the the Arnett.
And is this the move that he was asking for on Twitter?
Yeah, because he almost lifts you up like under your legs, like you lift up a child, like under their ass. He just lifts you up so high and rotates and drops you. So I'm thinking call that like the motion for dismissal or hung jury or something like that. But that is a badass twist on the spine buster. And I really, EJ and Duca's really won me over the past few weeks.
This is a term I know full well, because if one side of, let's say, the prosecution does not disclose evidence to the defense, they call it non-disclosure.
Correct.
So what if he were to call it the non-disclosure? Because you didn't see it coming, but I hit you with it.
Okay, I can see that.
I mean, if we got to go with, because he is the judge, we have to go with some kind of law,
and his
fixed terms.
His existing move is called the verdict, which he's laid.
Now you said jury dismissal,
as hung jury or motion for dismissal.
Motion for out of all of them, I would say motion for dismissal is definitely my favorite. He could do that right before he does the.
Wait, am I confusing myself? Is that the verdict? That fucking spine buster thing?
No, I don't think he has a move for that. Maybe no, that's not the verdict.
What's the verdict now? Why am I confusing myself?
Let's not get into it. We'll be here all night.
Yeah,
we'll be here all night. But so with the torture rack, it's over. And that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. Very underwhelming finish for this big build. So many weeks in preparation since the new season kicked off. 2 months plus in preparation of all this. And the ending was a little bit overwhelming, but there was a reason.
And we did skip something.
What did we skip?
Jacob Fatu does I think it's called a Phoenix Splash. He was up on the top rope, back to the inside of the ring, and he did like a 180 turn and a front flip, but he missed Alexander Hammerstone and hit Mads Kruger.
That's right. We did skip
caused some
that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back.
That was the catalyst.
Right after that, they were both down and out, leaving Quan to the dogs, and the torture rack came shortly after. So there you go. So Team Hammer celebrating in the ring. They walk out. They're celebrating up the ramp. They walk back because now they're going to crack open some fine champagne. Richard's going to have a cup of coffee, and everyone's going to be happy. Hammer's going to have a protein bar, and the judge is just going to look good. Again, this is a match where the judge was in it for about, I want to say, a good 8 minutes, and didn't look like he dropped an ounce of sweat. He looked fresh as he just started the match. So it was pretty cool to see that. Duca's got great stamina, great agility. Athlete, he's a bull, man. He's a bull. This is a guy that I would not be surprised if he gets thrown in that ladder match. That's another prediction. Maybe the judge is the wild card. He's definitely raised his stock a lot in these last few weeks.
Definitely a future champion of some sort in MLW. 100%.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be mad to see him versus Hammer. I'm not even gonna lie. Now we know Richard versus Hammer is coming up. That was announced on the previous week.
Yeah,
and we know that Richard's gonna turn on Hammer as he predicted throughout. But it was hilarious because just go back and watch that promo. I also posted it all over your Straight Talk page.
They broke the fourth wall, and I love it.
It was amazing. It was.
I mean, it's entirely possible that we could see EJ and Duca inducted as an official card-carrying member of the Dynasty.
That's interesting. We did ask Richard.
Has been
ask Richard.
Yeah, but I don't think EJ was as prominent when we spoke to Richard back then.
No, EJ had not really made his intentions known about wanting to rid MLW of Contra, and they did that. Let's move a little bit forward.
He's aligned himself with the right people. But yeah, let's talk about what happened after, because it was kind of a shit show.
So at this point now, there's about 8 minutes left in the episode, and we're wondering, why is there so much time left? And then shit hits the fan. So Team Hammer's left. It's just Contra in the ring. They're starting to tear apart or open the door to let the rest of the Contra members out. Fatu's trying to help Contra. Kruger's walking around all pissed off and steamed, and he kind of goes to Fatu and spins around. Fatu says, "Don't do that shit. Don't fucking touch me." You can actually hear him say, "Don't fucking touch me." And then Quan gets up, who's just been torture racked, but he gets up and he's in between the two of these guys like he's going to stop that. That's nothing. That's like putting a piece of paper between two people that are about to fight. It's not going to work. You're not going to be the great equalizer in this match. You're going to get hurt. And he did. Kruger reaches around Quan to, I guess, face wash, if you will, Jacob Fatu, who then in turn throws Quan out of the way, and these two come to blows.
Just yeeted him.
Just literally launched him across the ring like he was, a dog toy or your kid throwing a toy.
And now we've got Jacob Fatu and Mads Kruger
just going at it,
coming
hard.
to blows.
Yeah, fist upon fist, dropping each other. They're in the cage. He actually throws Fatu out of the cage, who gets right back up. The agility of this man is incredible. And he takes the door and whacks it right across Kruger's head. At this point now, we've got the Sentai Death Squad members trying to hold Fatu back, and he's just whooping the shit out of everybody. He's hitting Death Squad members with chairs, and this is all because of the seed that was planted last week by CD. When he told him that Joseph Samael has not green-lit that rematch, all of a sudden, Fatu had huge doubts on his alliances or his allegiance with Contra, or where Contra was at with him.
Is this the implosion? Is this the end of Contra?
Absolutely.
Is Jacob Fatu? I mean, we heard the crowd chanting his name.
The crowd was chanting Fatu throughout this whole entire 6-minute brawl, and it was. So as the security guards came out, as the back staff came out, as more Sentai Death Squad members came out, they could not contain these two. At one point, these two literally pushed 5 or 6 men out of the way to come to the center of the aisleway, and Fatu just jumped up and literally just butted Max Kruger right in the top of the head. And these fists were hard. You could hear them. And the whole time Quan's trying to get involved. And every time he did, both of them hit Quan. So now Quan's trying to defend himself. They're imploding on each other. Joseph Samael is nowhere to be found. And by the end of it all, they finally get Fatu to go to the back. Then Kruger goes up the ramp and he says some kind of stuff that you couldn't make out from all the noise from the crowd. And then he does the Hail Contra at the top of the ramp and he disappears, leaving the Sentai Death Squad members and Quan to proverbially fend for themselves as they're literally carried out by all of the security.
There's a lot of security.
A lot of security. There's at least 20 guys that came out from the back, and they needed it. They actually probably needed 10 more, but they probably didn't have enough in the back to do it.
Yeah, they needed the National Guard up in there.
Yeah, it was just a war. It was an absolute war. And then we get a final promo of the night in their CD promo. He's in the back pouring some beer or wine or something into a couple of wine glasses.
Yeah, it looked like wine or champagne or beer or champagne or something.
And then, the camera pans out. He's got a schematic of a brand new ring, if you will.
I think it was the original patent for the wrestling ring.
I think it might have been.
It was dated like 1938.
It might have been a replica.
Yeah,
I don't think it was the actual.
Not the original, but yeah,
it's a replica,
a facsimile, if you will.
And he's cheersing with a woman who her name escapes both of us.
Julia.
We had Julia. I think we have seen her before. Julia. Yes. And he says that our differences aside, we're now going to paint the wrestling world red, obviously with blood of fallen victims, if you will. And he wanted to show her the new cathedral of violence. So all in all, Warren Chamber, the end of the match was underwhelming, but everything else that came after and leading up to was phenomenal. So MLW does it again. There's no need to grade. It was just fantastic. Go and watch it.
Enjoyable watch.
Once we air this, it'll have already aired. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it because it's so much fun. Then come back again and watch our review again. And don't forget to comment below and let us know what you liked or didn't like about War Chamber. Just let us know. Your opinion is your opinion, and we respect it and appreciate it.
That's right. Start the conversation. Tell us what's going on. Like, subscribe, all that shit.
All that shit. We're at officially 403 subscribers, so we thank everyone who upped the subscriber count for us. We appreciate it, and we're on the road now to 500, and then 6, and so forth and so on. So we should do the power rankings for this week. These are going to be pretty easy. I can even do them if you want, because they're going to be super easy. 5 to 1 is all Team Hammer. 5, I would give it to Savio Vega. 4, I would give it to Jeff Cobb. 3, I would give it to Richard Holiday. 2, I would give it to Nduka. And 1, I would give it to Hammer. Now we just have to fill out 10 through 6.
Okay, so for this week?
Yes, 10.
Considering all we really saw this week was War Chamber.
Well, we also saw the 5150 promo. Those guys could easily slide
the promo, in. But like as far as matches go, so I'm going to give number 10 to... Let's give it to Mads Kruger.
Okay.
For... he did put in some work in that match.
Absolutely. And last week I gave number 10 to CD, but I'm going to up him to number 9. Ooh. I just love the way this guy cuts promos. He gets the crowd behind him. We're all now officially known as the MLW Renegades. So if you're a fan of MLW, CD has coined us the Renegades. And I like it. I don't mind it. So CD's number 9. Who you giving number 8 to?
Go with Jeff Cobb or
No,
Matanza Duran.
No, Jeff Cobb he gave 4 to.
Oh, because he's
It's
part of
Team
Team
Hammer.
Hammer. Correct. Sorry, my brain.
And
is
number
foggy
6
today.
actually should be Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
So 6 is Jacob Fatu. So we just got to fill out 8 and 7, and we're done.
8 and 7.
Or sorry,
let's
yeah, 8 and 7.
let's throw Slice and Danny in there.
Slice and Danny. I like it. So there you go. That's your power rankings for this week. All of Team Hammer 1 through 5, Fatu 6, Danny 7, Slice 8, CD 9, and 10. That's Kruger. There it is. The power rankings for this week. As always, I'm your host, your boy, George McKay. You can find me everywhere at _Straight Talk on Twitter, Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook. If you're watching this, then you already know it's Straight Talk Wrestling on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Available on all podcast platforms. Sometime we release the audio to these episodes. Sometimes we just drop the video. This week, I can tell you straight up, it's just a video. I don't got time to do both. Just got to do one. So it's going to be the video.
All right. Oh, and I'm Uncle Bobby B, and you can find me on Instagram at the real Uncle Bobby B,
and on Twitter,
Uncle _ Bobby _ B.
There you go.
I'll start using one day.
So hit us up, give us a follow, even send us DMs. We respond pretty good. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. Let us know what you like and don't like about us. At the end of the day, your opinion is your opinion, and everyone's entitled to it. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
And they all stink.
It's a little harsh, I think.
Okay.
A little bit.
Well, most opinions stink.
That's true. Okay, you know it's not harsh. I take it back. My opinion of that statement, I take back.
All right.
There we go. And that's how you can retract your opinion. And that's your lesson for life today. And as always, that's it for this week's Rewind. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you next week.